Welcome to the Cover 4 podcast. I'm Nolan Kangas. That's Bradshaw Furlong, Luca Moia, and Jeff Wall. Guys, mock draft 2.0. The first one we did was a ton of fun. This one is going to be even better. Just a couple switches in this, draft this time around. We've swapped picks. So, our mock draft 1.0, I picked first. I believe Jeff was second, Luca third, Bradshaw fourth. Completely flip-flopped that. So Bradshaw is going to get us started with that number 1 overall pick. Now, this isn't exactly going to be chalk as well. A little bit of this is going to be what we think the teams should do and kind of mix that with what we expect the teams to do. We're not going to be picking Jalen Darden in the first round or Tutu Atwell in the first round, anything crazy like that. But there might be some players that you think, oh, maybe that guy's more of a second rounder, but hey, we really like them. So without further ado, Bradshaw, Jacksonville Jaguars, number 1 overall pick. What are you doing here?
Well, on the theme of guys in the second round that might jump up because we like them a lot, there's this quarterback I like a little bit. I think he's got a chance. He hasn't been talked about a whole lot in this process, but I think he's got a chance to be something special. And I mean, if Jacksonville could snag him here at this number 1 pick, I mean, hopefully he falls to them at the number 1 overall pick, but we'll see. Trevor Lawrence from Clemson.
Wow.
Small school guy, under the radar, came up as like probably a 5-star recruit, number 1 quarterback in his class. It's Trevor Lawrence, the number 1 pick. There's no fun in picking number 1 here, but yeah, Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, the obvious one. I can't think of another draft maybe since the Luck one where kind of everybody knew who the number 1 overall pick was.
Burrow last year.
Burrow last year, except for Maurice Jones-Drew, who actually had taking Justin Herbert. But you're right. I guess the Burrow one was pretty obvious. Kyler, yeah, I guess when those quarterbacks rise up. But this one has been the number 1 for ages. Number 2 has some question marks, though, Luca. Who do you have the Jets taking?
Brad took my guy. So, I'm looking here. Listen, I know Zach Wilson's been talked about a lot, and I've brought up Mac Jones because, again, it's draft day, it's the Jets. That just seems like something that could happen. But I'm going to go a little bit off the board here. I'm going to go Justin Fields because I really think he is meant for New York. I think he'll be a better fit than Zach Wilson. I just think he's the better prospect. You guys know how much I like Justin Fields coming out of Ohio State. So why not? Let's just shake up the board here a little bit and go Justin Fields number 2.
Wow, alrighty. Already a couple changes from most of the mocks you'll see out there, but I don't mind that at all. Lawrence 1, Fields 2, the way it probably should be, but supposedly Justin Fields is dropping for some reason in a lot of mocks. Jeff, you got Zach Wilson and a couple other quarterbacks there on the board for the 49ers at 3. Who are you taking?
This is interesting because I've waffled on my faith in Zach Wilson. Originally, I really just had nothing for him. Now I'm really starting to warm up to him. But at the same time, I feel like if I'm picking here, I'm picking, I guess, as the GM, not really the head coach. And my head coach likes certain things, but I will try to sway him with certain things. But I do think that, I guess my issue with Zach Wilson is I don't trust his pocket awareness. It's like you're playing Madden and they set his pressure sense all the way down to oblivious because he has no idea that there's pressure coming to him. So for me, I think I got to go with Trey Lance just because I think the upside is still there. Obviously, he doesn't have the same kind of arm. Obviously, I don't think he has the same ability to throw on the run, but I think his ability to run is incredible. I think his accuracy is arguably better than Wilson's. And I think his pocket presence and just general awareness is a little bit better than Wilson. So I'm going to go with him there. You might not like it. It's really close to me, but I don't know. The lack of awareness of pressure really hurts me when it comes to evaluating Wilson.
Yeah, that is going to be interesting. Also, didn't face a ton of pressure at BYU because they were facing, kind of crap defensive lines the whole time, and BYU had a decent one. So he goes to, the NFL level, obviously in ours, Luca has the Jets taking Justin Fields, but if it's Zach Wilson in that situation, he's not going to be used to any type of that pressure. And maybe that stems from what you were kind of saying a little bit there, Jeff, but sorry, Atlanta Falcons are sprinting this card in. Usually, originally I was thinking it was going to be, Kyle Pitts. Do I take Penei Sewell? I still think regardless, and I think Bradshaw would probably agree, they're likely going to trade back. That is what I think. I do truly think that. Depends on, how much of a haul they can get. But if Zach Wilson falls to them at 4, they're sprinting it in. It's going to be Zach Wilson here. The Atlanta Falcons get their quarterback of the future. And I think that would be healthy for him, right? He didn't, in BYU, obviously, you're not facing NFL caliber players. A year behind Matt Ryan and get to learn Arthur Smith's offense, that would be, perfect for his development. So we go to 5, the Bengals, and the number one question, do they take a weapon or do they take the best tackle available? Bradshaw, you get to decide that.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for giving us a nice Mormon boy to, supplant Matt Ryan and take over. This is a big, it's a big, football philosophical question, this pick, to be honest with you. Is do you draft for need with the tackle? Do you take the extra weapon and stack your offense around Joe Burrow? It's a very interesting, philosophical question when you look at it. And I'm usually a big draft best player available guy, and to me Jamar Chase would be the best player available here, but I think when it's as close as it is between Chase and Penny Sewell, the need at that point overrides it just a little bit for me. And I think it's more important in my eyes to get your tackle of the future than it is to get another receiver. There are so many talented receivers, and I know next year's class is supposed to be a drop off from this year, but there are always so many talented receivers, and you saw it last year. The Bengals got one of those guys later in the draft, T. Higgins. It wasn't in the first round, but still, they got T. Higgins, and he's been phenomenal. I still think he can be a number one wide receiver, maybe not a true elite number one like a Devontae Adams or something like that, but I still think he can be a really good number one receiver along with Tyler Boyd. And I think in protecting Joe Burrow, as you saw last year, that is the most important thing for the Cincinnati Bengals. That should be priority number one. I do not care about drafting Jamar Chase and having that, look, they can grow together on offense. Take Penny Sewell so then Joe Burrow can actually grow with that offense and actually can stay healthy and not blow out his goddamn knee again. So, Penny Sewell.
You mentioned that knee. There was a photo that came out when obviously the Bengals were promoting their uniforms, and so many people said, I think we already know what the Bengals are going to do with this pick, because there was the picture of Burrow sitting in the throne or whatever, had a 10-inch scar on his left knee. I think they want to make sure that doesn't happen again. So I think Sewell is certainly the safe pick here. Miami, again, could go a few different directions here, but Luca, where do you have Brian Flores and the Dolphins, who are on the rise? Who do you have them taking?
I think offensive tackle could be a possibility here if Penei Sewell falls, just because he's a generational talent. But speaking of generational talents, I don't know if we're going to ever see another tight end like this. And I know Mike Gesicki, he's a good tight end for Miami. He's really developed into he's a respectable guy that you have to game plan around. But Kyle Pitts to that offense, another big body for Tua to throw to. Him, Devontae Parker, they're added Will Fuller. This is a good offense. Not a lot of people are talking about it. I think it'll help the development of Tua. And again, I think it is best player available. So you go Kyle Pitts here.
Kyle Pitts to Miami. I truly do think that's going to be the pick. I don't know. Devontae Parker still got some talent there. They go get Will Fuller. He would be awesome in that offense. Detroit, this might end up being the worst team in football with the worst roster in football. They could basically add any player here and they would be a day one starter. Maybe unless, it's a quarterback. But, Jeff, those Detroit Lions, where do you have them going here?
I see so many good players on the board. This is a really tough one. I don't know. As much as I like a lot of these receivers, including Jamar Chase, it's really tough for me to pick a receiver in the top 10. I think offensive line could be a good idea. I think defense is a really good idea. But is anybody really a top 10 pick? I don't know what they quite are. So I'm going to go with Rashawn Slater for the Detroit Lions. I think a lot of people rate him nearly as highly as Penei Sewell. So you take that, you take the athleticism that he has, the fact that he locked down Chase Young, obviously. So it's one of those things that might be clouding my bias a little bit, but I will stick with the Northwestern product.
All righty. Sounds good. You're right, though. There is obviously some evaluators out there. Daniel Jeremiah is probably the one that comes to the top of the list, who says he is his number one guy, has been since the start of this process. That was the guy I was going to take, though, Jeff. So I'm going to go in a different direction. I think Carolina is on the rise. I do think it's too early to go defense as well. And I do. Jamar Chase is my number one receiver, but you already have DJ Moore, who's really talented, and you have Robbie Anderson. So I'm going to give a burner. And I know Jeff isn't going to like this, as the first wide receiver off the board, Jalen Waddle. He's that guy in the slot for Sam Darnold in the Carolina Panthers. I know they don't, if Kyle Pitts falls to them at 8, they're going to take him because they do need, an upgrade at the tight end position. But Moore, Anderson, and Waddle would be quite the trio and easily the best wide receiver corps that Sam Darnold has ever had in his career. And I think that could really, truly help his development. Jeff's giving me a death stare that Jalen Waddle went before Jamar Chase or Devonta Smith. But
listen, you know what? That's all right. Leaves better players for me. All right. I don't care. It's all good.
All right. That is true. Denver, they could, again, go a few different directions, either defense, but they do kind of need to upgrade that quarterback position. Bradshaw, what's the plan here, man?
God, I really, how badly I want to take Jamar Chase. Just so bad. Had Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, and Jamar Chase all together. Mother of God, would that be so much fun? However, no one could get them the ball, so it almost wouldn't really matter now, would it? I also would have wanted to take Rashawn Slater here, but again, he is now taken off the board. God, you guys are really want me to take Mac Jones in the top 10 here, don't you? You guys are like begging me to take Mac and Cheese Jones in the top 10. I'm not going to do it. I'm absolutely not going to. I do not care what Jeff thinks about me. I do not care. Micah Parsons is going in the top 10 to the Denver Broncos here because because I refuse to have Mac Jones go in the top 10. Goddamn it. I refuse. I simply refuse to have Mac Jones go in the top 10. I'm not having it. Jeff. You can roll your eyes all you want. I'm taking Micah Parsons. He's a good fit on that defense. Vic Fangio, your father, Vic Fangio, will do wonders.
End his career. You're going to end his career early as the Denver Broncos head coach. That's what you're doing. Okay. That's cool, buddy.
Micah Parsons will do wonders on that defense. Vic Fangio will turn him into a monster. Just you watch. Micah Parsons at number 9 to the Denver Broncos. All right.
Micah Parsons going 9, the first defender off the board. I'm telling you, I think Mac Jones, if there's one team that he would succeed with, I think it would be Denver, just because they have so many weapons. And I know, but like, I'm not going to put him on Jacksonville or New York, right? San Francisco, again, makes sense because he would have fit with that offense, but he would have fit there at 12 and 3. You'd take the better prospect who isn't him. 10. I feel like this has been, again, it's weird because when you have a team at number 10, it seems like an obvious pick. Usually, we have the Cowboys taking a corner here, but there's some weapons left on the board. I don't know if they go that direction, but Luca, what do you have? Big D.
I can either piss off Brad and make Mac Jones go in the top 10.
To the Cowboys, it would be hilarious. That would be the funniest thing in the world.
I'm heavily debating it just to annoy him, but
former co-host David Crosby would have a field day.
Just because you stole Trevor Lawrence from me. But I think, and then again, my owner loves showtime. I don't even think he cares about winning as long as he has the best offense. Maybe Jamar Chase goes off. But I think the smart pick here has to be on the defensive side. And I'm going to go Patrick Surtain. I think he's the best corner in the draft. It just makes too much sense to pass up, even though Jamar Chase is still here. But Patrick Surtain, too good, played in Alabama, saw him in the big games. He did really well. Has to be a guy on the defense, and I think you go best corner.
Sounds like a plan. And, since the Caleb Farley injuries have come out, it seems like Surtain's going to be, cornerback 1 off the board. There's a little bit of talk of J.C. Horn rising, but I think you're right. I think it's going to be Surtain going either 9 or 10 there. Sticking in the NFC East, Giants. Jeff, what do you have the New York Football Giants doing? A couple weapons still there on the board for them.
There's still a lot of weapons, but I wonder if they really do kind of need them at this point. I guess it really comes down to, do you want to give Daniel Jones more ammunition to basically say, I literally have tried everything I can. There's nothing else I can do / move on from him and then give the next quarterback a lot of weapons? That does sound pretty tantalizing. I'm just going to do that anyway and just take the best receiver in the entire draft, Rashad Bateman, to the New York Giants. Why the hell not?
Oh my goodness.
I know it's going to piss everybody off watching, and I don't care. You know what? You watch. He will be the biggest steal in this draft because he's going to go in the 20s.
Jeff, I love the confidence. I do love Bateman, and I hope he goes higher than people expect. To go over Jamar Chase and Devonta Smith is bold, but I do love it.
Should have taken him in the top 10, you coward.
Listen, no. I would. Actually, part of that was because he wouldn't look good in a Detroit Lions uniform, so there's that.
Yeah, he would look good in that New York Giants uniform. So New York Giants now have Rashad Bateman and Kenny Golladay there, and Jamar Chase is left on the board for the Philadelphia Eagles at 12. That's going to be the pick. That's a player they could have had if they stayed at 6. And, on our last episode, we talked about them wanting to trade back up, which made little to zero sense. But they get their weapon for Jalen Hurts. It's going to be Jamar Chase, who is widely regarded as wide receiver number 1. He ends up being wide receiver 3 in this draft. Jamar Chase to the Eagles. Bradshaw, you get the Los Angeles Chargers there. Could you imagine this offense with a weapon like Devonta Smith? But it's almost like the same conversation we had with Joe Burrow and the Bengals. You kind of have to protect your quarterback there for the future. So what are you going to do here at 13?
Yeah, but that's the thing is this gap isn't as close as it was with Penny Sewell and Jamar Chase. If Devontae Smith is on the board, I'm buying all the way into I want to see that offense with Devontae Smith, Keenan Allen, and Mike Williams. I will take Devontae Smith here for the LA Chargers. I think that would be so much fun. And the gap between him and Christian Darrisaw is so wide that or even JC Horn or like any other, if you want to take Caleb Farley here to bolster their corners, the gap is so much wider between those guys and Devontae Smith that I'm taking best player available. And if a guy like Devontae Smith has fallen, give me Devontae Smith with Justin Herbert.
If Devonta Smith falls to the Los Angeles Chargers, I am putting money on Justin Herbert MVP because he just has 2 wide receivers who get open no matter what, and a 50-50 receiver who can catch any ball, and he would put up numbers. It's just, can they win games with that defense and that offensive line? But that is a sexy, sexy pick. Luca, don't hurt me. Minnesota Vikings, 14. It's usually going to be a tackle or an edge rusher here, but what do you have here that's going to help me and make me smile?
I'm going to be honest. Yeah, yeah, maybe. Listen, I can be honest here. I got a little lost with the Bateman pick, and I've just been completely trying to catch up. I thought we were on the Eagles still, and so when you announced the Chargers, I was like, okay. But I think I'm leaning JC Horn here, and just because we saw how good Xavier Rhodes was when he was at the top of his game, and he really helped out that defense. And you guys know that I really like looking to teams that try to stop guys in their division, and they have, when I talk about receivers, they have receivers in this division. Not Jamar Chase, thanks to Jeff, but they have Allen Robinson and they have Devontae Adams. I'm going to go JC Horn here, Nolan. I'm sorry, but I just think it would help out the secondary, and knowing what we've seen in the past, when the Vikings have a good secondary, they can really do some damage. So JC Horn is the pick for me.
I'm fine with that pick, right? You got Pat Pete, who's going to be a veteran, helping out Cameron Dantzler. We know Jeff Gladney's situation now, a pretty disgusting situation. So he's likely out the door, might not play again. So if you get a guy like JC Horn, who is that physical corner, that would be great for Mike Zimmer. So, Luca, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. That's what I do.
Now, I believe it's Jeff's turn to hurt your feelings.
Oh, Jeff.
Yes, Jeff, do it.
This is the easiest pick, Jeff. This is the easiest pick of the draft.
Well, you say that, Luca. You say that. But it's really not, because this is my draft, all right? I am the GM for all these teams, and I am going to pick who I want. So here's the deal. I'm going to pick one of my personal top 10 players. Mm-hmm. I'm going to pick somebody that I was just thinking about, that I saw another name, and I'm probably going to pick a different guy. I'm going to pick Elijah Vera Tucker here, actually, because to me, if you're going to have to get a quarterback pretty soon, because Cam Newton is basically a zombie right now on the football field, you need to protect him, and you need to protect the next guy too. So we're going to Elijah Vera Tucker, the most boring pick you could possibly imagine in this draft.
They lose Joe Thuney in free agency, so he fills the gap there. The best guard by a landslide in this class, but yeah, that's not exciting for Luca. He was really hoping for the quarterback here or another weapon, but that's okay. That's okay,
Jeff. It's okay, man. It's okay.
Wait, so you would want Mac Jones there?
No, I'd want to kill him. I'd want to kill him. No, I don't know. I mean, I'm surprised you left your linebacker on the board. JOK.
I was literally just thinking of him, but I was like, no, I can't do that. No.
Get some athleticism. But no, I don't mind it at all. It's the boring pick, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
That's the issue with me here with the Cardinals, because Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah would be a great pick here, but he's kind of similar to the linebacker safety hybrid they already have in Isaiah Simmons, so that's not going to be the player. here. I'm not going to take a receiver, even though I think they could use another one. You know what? And we already have J.C. Horn off the board. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go Greg Newsome II out of Northwestern here. Maybe a little bit high, but I still think he's rising in draft classes. They lose Pat Pete. I just think the Cardinals, to hold up with some of the receivers in that division as well. We know the 49ers are likely going to take a quarterback who's going to get those wide receivers some actual, decent passes there, other than what Jimmy G was throwing them. So another solid corner there for the Cardinals. Not a sexy pick, but it'll work. The Raiders, Bradshaw. Is it going to be an Ohio State and Alabama or a Clemson player, or are you going to go off the board here?
I mean, I really they have so many holes on this team. There, you could really take anything, and they probably have to find a way to make it work. But I'm not like I said, I think I've said this. This is now the second time I've done this. I'm not a big draft for need guy, but Christian Darrisaw, come on down, buddy. Come help out this god awful offensive line. Just at least be a warm body for them on the offensive line and do something. So yeah, not a whole lot of pomp and circumstance here. Just give me Christian Darrisaw. Try and fix that offensive line the best way you can.
That's fine. I think they're going to go probably a tackle, or they're going to just, take an edge rusher or whatever, take someone who's got to create pressure. But him, and if they're going to be handing off the ball to Josh Jacobs, they need someone who can get to the next level. He can certainly do that. Miami Dolphins. All right, Luca, this is your second pick for the Dolphins as well, right?
Is, yep.
Took Kyle Pitts there at 6. Now they're there at 18. Do they go on to the defensive side of the ball here, or do they go a tackle?
Again, if Darrisaw just got picked, I probably would have went tackle, but I think I'm going to keep it in-house, if you know what I mean. So Jalen Phillips is there. I say they take the risk because of the upside he can give. If it weren't for his injuries and off-field concerns, he'd be the first pass rusher off the board. And potentially people were talking about him before this year being the first defensive player off the board. So he's got a lot of potential. He's really good. I think he can help out Miami's defense. They're in a great position, Miami, with having 2 first-round picks. So why not take a chance here on a guy who could be really good for them if it pans out?
Alrighty, Jalen Phillips, first. That's our first edge rusher off the board, right? So, and I think it could end up being like that on draft night. Now, Washington, there is a quarterback there for them to take. I think Washington was the team that would be a perfect fit for Jeff Sky, Rashad Bateman, but we already saw he went 11 and the second wide receiver off the board. So what does the Washington football team do here, Jeff?
This is a very confusing team to me. I almost don't know where to go with them because there's just so much you could do here. And you're just so unsure on the quarterback position. And to me, I just can't pull the trigger on Mac Jones, man. I can't do it. So instead, who do we have here? Well, we do have a young, small man that may be completely overdrafted here, but you know what? I kind of like taking a chance. So we're going to go with Rondale Moore from Purdue to add some speed on an already speedy offense and give whatever quarterback it is, just the most deep threats you can possibly imagine.
Alrighty, an interesting pick there. So they have 2 gadget type of players, and you have a clear-cut number 1. You got Terry McLaurin, Rondale Moore, and Curtis Samuel. That would be a fun, speedy offense, like you mentioned. You weren't willing to pull the trigger on Mac Jones, but somebody is, and that's going to be your Chicago Bears.
Sorry, guys, my feet cut.
Wow.
Mac Jones, the future quarterback.
Oh my God.
Bears. Hey, a lot of people think he might go 3. That would be overdrafting him. I think this would be a good spot if you are going to take a chance. Luca's flashing the 2.
Number 2.
The Jets are going to take him at 2. The Bears end up doing it. They take Mac Jones, the quarterback of the future, and will sit behind the Red Rocket for a year. All righty. Indianapolis Colts. This is a team who is, they have Super Bowl aspirations. We know that. They make the big trade for Carson Wentz. They still have a talented defense. Their offensive line is one of the best in football. They have one of the best coaches in football. How can they improve their roster with this pick here, Bradshaw?
There's a lot of ways you could go here. There's a lot of very tempting options here. I like taking an edge here, potentially getting Matt Eberflus, so, just give him an athletic freak and just see what he does. And, hopefully DeForest Buckner can open up some space for somebody. I also could, look at the offensive side of the ball, look at giving them a receiver. They do lack a bit of receiver depth, but I'm gonna go maybe a little off the board for them. I'm gonna take a linebacker. I'm gonna take Jeff's guy. I'm gonna take JOK here, right? I think this is a team that is in a position where you take best player available. Not that they have a ton of needs, but they have so much at so many different positions that I think just adding one of the more talented guys, one of the more talented linebackers, in Jeff's opinion, the best linebacker in this draft, taking a guy like that to just make them even better on the defensive side of the ball and just give them another freak to bolster that defense. So give me JOK here.
That would be a fun linebacking core. Darius Leonard and JOK in Indianapolis. That is a fun pick there, Bradshaw. Tennessee Titans, again, like most teams, could go a few different directions here. Lost a ton of players in free agency. But Luca, what do you have the Titans doing here?
I think the value for this pick and what they need on this team, I think this has to be a no-brainer. You just do it. You pick Caleb Farley and you hope for the best here. They lost their whole secondary pretty much. Malcolm Butler, he's getting old, but still was a starter last season. Dory Jackson gone. So Caleb Farley from Virginia Tech, he was regarded as being the best corner in this draft. And again, slips without playing a game, but that's what happens. So I got Caleb Farley to Tennessee, and I think I'm pretty happy with that pick.
Yeah, that's a fun one. And I think that's probably the range we'll see Farley go. I'd be stunned. A guy with his talent, I know the injury concerns, but if he falls out of the first round, that would be shocking. But I think one of these teams that has been to the playoffs a few years would certainly take the chance regardless. New York Jets, their second pick in this draft. They ended up going Justin Fields at 2. What happens at 23 here, Jeff?
Well, I like Justin Fields, so I don't want him to get hurt. So we're going to give him Tevin Jenkins. Now you got bookend tackles. I like Tevin Jenkins a lot. I kind of think he's, he's a really physical guy. I think everybody's talking about Christian Barmough's physicality, Christian Darrisaw's physicality rather. But I really like Tevin Jenkins, man. I really, really like him a lot. So I think he'll be actually a pretty low-key steal in this draft as well. And I think at that spot, you either give whatever quarterback you have a weapon or more protection. So whoever is the best of those options, that's who you got to take. And for me, that's Tevin Jenkins for sure.
Jeff, love this pick because I think they can get that weapon there at the top of the second round. They have Mekhi Becton on the left side. Tevin Jenkins is supposed to step in and be that right tackle. That's where he played at Oklahoma State. This would be perfect for the development of Justin Fields if he's the quarterback there at 2. Pittsburgh Steelers, not going to be Mac Jones this time. I know a lot of people say Najee Harris, they are going to take a running back. I am not going to do that because their O-line sucks right now. So let's go take an offensive lineman. And the player here, oh boy. All right. I said I wouldn't take offensive linemen. Now I'm stuck because all the good ones are gone.
You just couldn't help yourself, huh?
I know. That is trouble. You know what I'm going to do here, though? They don't need it, but they're going to go best player available here. And they're going to go Christian Barmore out of Alabama.
Damn it.
I think if Jenkins was there, they would have taken him. Obviously, if Darrisaw falls that far, sure. I'm looking at the other tackles, Dylan Radins. I don't know if I'll take him there. I do love Sam Cosmi's athleticism. I've been picking him in all of my mocks to Indianapolis, but they do need some help on the offensive line. I get that, but again, it's a deep class. Why not go best player available? That seems like something Pittsburgh would do, and hopefully they don't go running back here in the first round. So I'll go Barmore at 25. Bradshaw, you had the Jags number 1 overall pick. That was the obvious one. That was Trevor Lawrence. 25, not so obvious. Where do you go here?
This is quite the interesting pick. I was hoping to get Barmore here just to take best player available, just get another freak for that defensive line. But you're making me work on this one. I don't appreciate that, but I guess I got to put some thought into this one actually this time. Let's see. I think. I don't want to reach on a tackle here. I don't like that. They don't need an edge rusher here. Good Lord, this poor team. These poor, you guys have left me devoid of any talent on this board. I'm gonna go with Jesus. You know what? I'm gonna go with a safety. I'll just go with a safety. I like Trevon Moehrig. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Trevon Moore. I think they need a safety. I think they need to help out that secondary a little bit more. Yeah, give me Trevon Moore. I'm not happy about it, but you know what? Might as well.
It's safe. I think it's a safe pick for sure. I think he'll end up being the first safety taken off the board. I know he's not your guy, Richie Grant, but
We're
he's
saving
also,
him for the second round. Hopefully he's fallen. He's fallen to the Falcons.
of course. But we'll put the TCU safety there at 25 for the Jags. 26, this is the Cleveland Browns, and boy, is this roster loaded. We basically said they've won free agency. They were that good in the offseason, but do they continue that hot stretch in the offseason when it comes to their number one overall pick, which is 26 here? Luca, where do you have the Browns going?
No, guys, they got Jude DeVon Clowney, and I think now that kind of their D-line is pretty much set. And I think the weakest point of this team is linebacker. I'm a big fan of Jamin Davis. Jamin Davis. I don't think I'm going to go there, but I really like his upside. It's potential that he could be taken here. I think I'm going to go Xavier Collins and just give a guy who can play in space. He would be good for Cleveland. He can go sideline to sideline and help out that defense who really, really stocked up in free agency with John Johnson, Troy Hill, all them. So they're going to be looking like a really good team, and I think Xavier Collins helps them out.
Xavier Collins is a freaky player, 270 pounds, and can run sideline to sideline. He is a freak. So that would be fun for that Browns team. Love that pick, Luca. Baltimore Ravens, their first of two now first-round picks. So what does Jeff do with that one? 27 here, Jeff.
I can't believe I'm picking so many wide receivers here, but I think at this point I have to do it. And honestly, I think Rondale Moore was a better fit for that Washington offense, but I think Elijah Moore is the better player. So I'm going to go Elijah Moore here. It gives Lamar Jackson a sure-handed guy, a guy I think is a really good route runner, maybe in the top 3 potentially. I don't know. Maybe that might be a bit of a stretch. More explosive than you might think. Really, really tough. And I think probably can play a little bit of outside too. I know he mostly played in the slot, but hey, you know what? Even if he was in the slot, I don't think it would matter. I think Lamar Jackson needs more help there anyway. So we'll go with Elijah Moore.
Like that one. That is a solid pick there at 27. So they go wide receiver with their first pick in this first round. New Orleans Saints. I think they need a weapon as well, and they'll keep this guy close to home. Terrace Marshall Jr. Out of LSU, the second LSU receiver off the board. I believe he'll end up being the tallest wide receiver selected, which is shocking because I think he's only 6'1". Everybody else is around 6 feet or under. Obviously, Rondale Moore definitely on the smaller side, around 5'7". But Marshall there at 28 for the Saints. They need another weapon, right? It's Michael Thomas and Kamara catching passes. And Jameis Winston, he likes to zip the ball downfield, so why not get him another downfield threat? So Terrace Marshall there at 28. 29 now, the Green Bay Packers. They could go a wide receiver, but they seemingly don't like to take wide receivers here in the first round. But Bradshaw, what do you have the Packers doing?
I think it'd be really fun if they took Kadarius Toney here. I think he's a really, really fun player, and I think that'd be a really fun fit in that offense. But I think they're going to lean more towards the defensive side of the ball. I think they're probably, I would have liked to have Xavier Collins here. I think that would have been a nice fit for them at linebacker, but give me one of my favorite players, his son. Give me Asante Samuel Jr. That's a bit of a reach there, but I really, really like Asante Samuel Jr. I think he's one of the better corners. I think he's pushing something like the kind of the top 4 or 5 guys that we have in this class. So yeah, give me Asante Samuel Jr. here to go across from Jair Alexander.
So obviously the Packers get their corner to hopefully replace Kevin King because we know what happened in the NFC Championship. With these picks, it seems like you can't really go wrong with all these teams because they're so talented and have so much depth. But what do the Bills do here at 30, Luca?
I think the Bills, again, best player available. They've been trying to adjust and really fix their defensive line, taking Ed Oliver a couple years ago, AJ Epinesa last year in the second round. And I think they go defensive line again. I think they go Kwity Paye. Good value pick here at the end of the first round. He was great at Michigan. Some people think he's the best pass rusher in the draft. So I think you definitely have to do this, get after the new young quarterbacks in this division. And, Cam Newton, right? You can still escape from guys. And you guys watch what Cam does this year with those receivers. Okay, his completion percentage is going to go up a nice 2%, and we're going to be back in the playoffs. So, but yeah, Kwity Paye for the Bills, I think it's a good pick.
Yeah, there's terrific value for someone who a lot of people think could go as high as maybe 14 and 30 to your Bills. Now we have Jeff again, 31. He gets the second pick of the Ravens as well. So they go wide receiver at 27, taking Elijah Moore. Where do they go here at 31?
This one is tough because I actually kind of had a guy set in mind, but then, thinking about it, you took Kwity Paye, but Ronnie Perkins might be a little bit better. I don't know. He might be. He might be just as good. I know he doesn't have that same, physical ability, but it's pretty close. He's a pretty quick twitch guy. So yeah, give me Ronnie Perkins. Let's get after the quarterbacks in this division. Let's just get rid of Big Ben. His career is done. Let's make that decision easier for the Steelers. So we're helping out multiple teams here, right? And then you also got to think Baker Mayfield. Okay, he's out of there too. So Ronnie Perkins to the Baltimore Ravens.
Ronnie Perkins.
The Aziz Ojulari erasure is just baffling to me. Baffling.
It's crazy because this class has so many solid edge rushers, but I feel like teams are going to be kind of weary to take them where they're slated in the draft here, right? Because you look here, I'm at 32. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers already have two edge rushers and a guy in the middle who can get after the quarterback. And I'm left with Jason Owe, Aziz Ojulari, Gregory Rousseau. I've got, Boogie Basham. There's talent here. But I don't know if I'm going edge rusher. I think I'm going to go another weapon. And I know we did it last time too. I think, who did we have? Did we have Elijah Moore here going?
I had Elijah Moore. I had Elijah Moore at 32.
Okay, so I'm not going to go that way. This guy is a gadget type of player. Peter Schrager recently said he is going mid-first round. That's where a lot of teams have him. I'm going to go Kadarius Toney here at 32. Yes, they have Mike Evans. Yes, they have Chris Godwin. Yes, they have Rob Gronkowski. But we don't know the wide receiver 3 situation. Antonio Brown, I believe, still a free agent, right? And, I get it. Scotty Miller's, a fun little piece there. Tony can do a lot more and has the same speed that Miller has. So I'll go Kadarius Toney at 32. That concludes Mock Draft 2.0, and holy hell, was this one wild. A lot of crazy, interesting picks, but we mentioned at the top of the show, this is more stuff that we would do, kind of mix of what we think the teams are going to do. Guys, that was fun. Quickly, though, at the top of the show, we mentioned as well, there was a trade earlier in the day. Two of the top teams in the AFC decided to, swap some picks, as well as Orlando Brown Jr., the former right tackle of the Ravens, going to Kansas City because he wants to play left tackle. So Kansas City gets their left tackle for the future. They had to give up quite a bit, though. As well. So the Chiefs end up getting Orlando Brown, Baltimore second rounder, and a 2022 sixth rounder. The Ravens, like we had in our mock draft, they get a first round pick, 31st overall, who ended up being Ronnie Perkins, Kansas City's third round pick, their fourth round pick, and next year's fifth round pick. So we'll quickly dive into that. Bradshaw, your thoughts on this trade and what it sort of means for both teams?
I mean, for the Chiefs, it's kind of easy. Like they've really built out their O line. I remember at the beginning of the offseason, we're all looking at them like, Jesus, this team has no O lineman. Like Patrick Mahomes is gonna be running for his life even more so than he was in the Super Bowl. And now here they come out with like a very elite offensive line now, and they'll be just fine. Thanks. I honestly like it for both teams. I like the Ravens getting an extra pick in the first round. I think that's gonna help them out a lot. I think they can. As long as they don't blow it like Jeff did today and take someone better than Ronnie Perkins, maybe get Aziz Ojulari to actually help the team.
Wow.
I'm just kidding, Jeff.
Shade at Jeffrey.
No, I mean, it's nice that they get an extra player. I think they can. The Ravens are really good at drafting guys. Like we all know that they find a way to hit on guys. I think this is a good draft for both teams. It's kind of a to be determined to see like what the Ravens make of these picks, but I like it on the surface for both teams right now.
Luca?
I think the Chiefs, what people don't realize is that they got Duvernay Tardif coming back. And he wasn't there last year because of COVID. He opted out. Obviously, he's a doctor. And they get him back. They get Joe Thuney, who was a great piece for the Patriots offense. And now you get, I think, could be one of the best left tackles in the league, even though he's known for playing right tackle. So they did a good job. The Chiefs are going to be fine. Like Bradshaw said, if they can commit to running the football a bit more, now that they have a better offensive line, I think it's going to help them out even more. And on Baltimore side, they get rid of Orlando Brown, bringing a veteran like Alejandro Villanueva for this year. They'll probably draft a guy. It's Nolan, you love the tackles in this draft. They could probably steal one in the second or the third round. to take over next year or the year after that. So I think it's a good deal for both sides. And I think Baltimore, we could see where they package these first 2 picks and move up in the draft to get someone that they like. So that's going to be interesting.
Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, that's actually a really good point, Luke. I hadn't even thought about that because I guess I don't see them typically doing that all that much. But I do think that this draft is deep enough where you could sit there. I think there's tons of guys you can find. I don't think the draft is going to fall the way we did it because I pretty much completely just went with whatever I wanted. So that obviously threw things a lot. I think, a guy like Shaw Bateman, I don't know. He might be there. I don't know because no one rates him, but I'm smarter than everyone. So he might be there for them to pick, and he will be better than Elijah Moore, in my opinion. And then also too, like on the Chiefs end of things, like in my opinion, now their offensive line is arguably like aside from Mahomes is their strength on offense, maybe better than I guess I would argue better than their defensive line unit. So they actually their offensive line coming into this season is way better than it was last season, in my opinion. And even later in the second round at 63, you could easily get a guy like Leatherwood or something like that. You get even Eichenberg might fall down that far. And I think he's a guy that's more than serviceable at that spot. So to me, I would almost say that the Kansas City Chiefs won this just because of that simple fact that this tackle class and the offensive line just generally is deep enough that you can get another guy right there and it can change everything. Sorry, actually, they have another one at 58. So honestly, they're looking pretty, man. I mean, Baltimore doesn't look bad. It really depends on how the draft generally shakes out for them. But I think Kansas City, they look like if they can walk right in there against Tampa Bay again, it's going to be a completely different story. So I think this changes their fortunes big time.
Yeah, I agree with everything you guys have pretty much been saying. It's Kansas City. I think now their offensive line isn't going to be as good as that Super Bowl year, but it could end up being better in the future because they're very young, right? Orlando Brown, he was just drafted a couple years ago. Lucas Niang at the right guard position. You mentioned our Canadian boy who was helping, during the pandemic. Also, they got Jeff's old buddy Kyle Long, who came out of retirement. He's going to be playing there. Austin Blythe they got as well. Two we've mentioned. This offensive line is pretty stacked, and obviously now Kansas City can do a few different things. And we've mentioned with Baltimore, now this gives them a chance to go wide receiver with one of those picks. Or you mentioned Rashad Bateman. There are 2 teams there at 19 and at 20 who would love to have another weapon. If you package one of those first-round picks and maybe, that 3rd and 4th or 4th and 5th or whatever you just got from Kansas City to move up and go get Bateman, that would be pretty nice as well. So I think both teams, have certainly improved today for the better. And in Baltimore, this saves them money, right? Because Orlando Brown wanted left tackle money. They weren't going to give him that. So, I think this is perfect for both teams, and we'll see how it plays out next Thursday when the draft gets started. Guys, that's it. Mock Draft 2.0. This one was wildly fun. But that's going to do it. We will be back next week, probably on the Locker Room app, though. So make sure to check that out. We'll be talking throughout all the draft festivities and what's happening after each pick. And obviously, we'll have a wrap-up show, coming after the whole draft is completed. Make sure to check us out on Instagram and on YouTube, Lingo Sports. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Once again, that's Bradshaw. That's Luca. That's Jeff. I'm Nolan. This is the Cover 4 Podcast. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please drop a like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Lingo Sports and Lingo News for a whole lot more just like this.